Now, my fear is that because it's exactly the same method of, hitting a growth target, what they do, this is a very short-term way of managing economy. It's just because it's important for them to keep hitting 6 or 7% each year, they just use whatever money we have within our system just to plow it back. It works for 2 or 3 years, but it will really bankrupt the whole country. It's firefighting. Because we don't really tackle the root causes. And it's just providing temporary growth support. 3 years down the line, when we start exhausting our money in EPF and PNB, what do we do next? Well, I hope that questions will be given to a new finance minister from a new government, because otherwise I don't know what they will sell next, because there has not been a single change in the way we manage economy. And it takes a toll on our economy. Looks at the capex ratio. Okay? Capex ratio is the capital investment that we reinvest as a percentage of GDP. Now, we use capex ratio to gauge how much money is plowed back into enterprises that can generate new income, into growth, new sectors, and so on. Our capex ratio out of GDP in between 94 and 97 is 39.1% out of GDP. Now, to put it in perspective, say 10 years, 12 years back, in 98, say our GDP is about 500 billion. Could be 500 or 400 billion, katakan. 40% of that, 200 billion every year, is reinvested into economy to create new factories, new R&D, new roads, new facilities. And these are the kind of things that eventually bring about new business opportunities, and it has that multiplier effect. That was how big it was back then. 40% easily translate to 100 billion over each year. By 2004 and 07, it has fallen to 22.4, and it keeps falling. In the first half of 2010, it is at 21.6%. That means that people are not reinvesting. I can understand the FDI, but it also means that our big companies are also leaving. Okay, that is why this thing about using EPF, about Khazanah, or after this PNB is very bad. You know why? We have seen this for the last 4 years. What they do, they carry out big projects. They make a lot of money. So if we were to argue with PNB about the 100 story, they will say yes, it will give good returns to the investors. It will give 20%, 30% returns. Why shouldn't we do this? Rather than put our money in bonds, might as well I build new tower and get 20%. Correct. Unfortunately, once they get that 20%, they get that money, it's not going to stay in this country, because they will start going overseas and start saying that I need to diversify, I need to look for new growth sectors. And that's how you have seen that our GLCs have been more and more active overseas. Now, I can understand if Temasek does that, because how many land do they have to plant trees? They can't. There's a limit to how much Temasek can create market in Singapore. But it's not the same thing with Khazanah and Malaysia. We have plenty of resources. Our market can grow further. We can add value further. So I am a bit apprehensive when too much of these resources, profit that is taken from our economy and then transferred out to outside. Okay. And because of that juga, you will see that our global share of manufacturing exports has actually fallen from 2.3% in 2000 to 1.6%. We are being phased out, whether you like it or not. We have hit the growth target, but slowly we are in decline. So unless something is done drastically, you will see things get worse and worse. The lucky thing is that I'm not going to talk about the other two constraints, because it will take 2 days to explain everything. So maybe we'll have another forum just to explain about the issue about low technological applications, as well as the problem with our workforce, and how this budget has not at all addressed these two constraints. I just want to finish with these 5 things. Okay. People say that it's people's budget. Okay, it's definitely not people's budget, because there's not too much goodies in that apart from 1% service tax increase. If people say it's an election budget, I don't say it's election budget. Because, again, I don't see much coming out of it. But if you say that it's erection budget, yes. Because there are going to be so many new structures and buildings going to be erected out of this budget. It's just that, I think, okay, jokes aside, I hope that the takeaway from this is that we are actually at quite a dire junction. I hope we've seen that although year by year the number may look good, you know, they say everything, but over the last 12 years, we are in steady decline. So we require something a lot more drastic than 100-story towers or new highways and so on. I think with that, thank you very much. We'll pass the camera.